until the coming of the dawn. Two hands meet at zenith, nothing comes between us. Dancing like ballerinas under the moonlight all night long. How these plain and simple scenes get painted so vividly by you. I just wanna stay with you around the water, we slowly dance. Whenever our eyes meet, you know you leave me in a trance. It means everything to me. Looking down below, I'll always seem to find, no matter where you might go. Remember, you'll be on my mind. Within the inner heart I plead for you to talk to me. I wanna hear all the good and bad, the new stories you had. As I drift across the sky, the hour hand turns high. So good night, let me sing a lullaby. I'll be singing. Another water in the night, let me paint the view, color the town with my light. For every moment shared with you, night and in the day, you're never fully gone, going to be back again, until the coming of the dawn. Two hands meet at zenith, nothing comes between us. Dancing like ballerinas under the moonlight all night long. How these plain and simple scenes get painted so vividly by you. I just wanna stay with you around the water, we slowly dance. Whenever our eyes meet, you know you leave me in a trance. It means everything to me. Looking down below, I'll always seem to find, no matter where you might go. Remember, you'll be on my mind. Within the inner heart I plead for you to talk to me. I wanna hear all the good and bad, the new stories you had. As I drift across the sky, the hour hand turns high. So good night, let me sing a lullaby. I'll be singing. Another water in the night, let me paint the view, color the town with my light. For every moment shared with you, night and in the day, you're never fully gone, going to be back again until the coming of the dawn. Two hands meet at zenith, nothing comes between us, dancing like ballerinas under the moonlight all night long. How these plain and simple scenes get painted so vividly by you. I just wanna stay with you around the water, we slowly dance. Whenever our eyes meet, you know you leave me in a trance. It means everything to me. Looking down below, I'll always seem to find, no matter where you might go, remember you'll be on my mind. Within the inner heart I plead for you to talk to me. I wanna hear all the good and bad, the new stories you had. As I drift across the sky, the hour hand turns high. So good night, let me sing a lullaby. I'll be singing, baby. Another water in the night, let me paint the view, color the town with my light. For every moment shared with you, night and in the day, you're never fully gone, going to be back again until the coming of the dawn. Two hands meet at zenith, nothing comes between us, dancing like ballerinas under the moonlight all night long. How these plain and simple scenes get painted so vividly by you. I just wanna stay with you around the water, we slowly dance. Whenever our eyes meet, you know you leave me in a trance. It means everything to me. Looking down below, I'll always seem to find, no matter where you might go, remember you'll be on my mind. Within the inner heart I plead for you to talk to me. I wanna hear all the good and bad, the new stories you had. As I drift across the sky, the hour hand turns high. So good night, let me sing a lullaby. I'll be singing,
Should be working fine, right? Where am I? I should be showing up. Why am I not showing up? Hang on. Showing up here? I don't see myself. Where am I? Oh, there I am. Why wasn't showing up? Here. Bring this over here. There we go. Just a double check. Okay. Yep. We're good. Okay. Well, now. Alright, so, hi everybody. Welcome to Cafe Autumn, where we don't care who you are as long as you're not a cunt. Today we're going to be doing something a little different. Today I'm going to be critiquing the designs from the hit internet series RWBY. Now, before we get started, because I did have to readjust things, because this is kind of the first time I've ever done this. I was a big fan of RWBY for a long time. Like, I figured I came across the series back in over 10 years ago now. And I had been a fan for a long while, and I eventually just kind of fell out of interest with the series. Yeah, it... well, there's that. Yeah, again, this is a different setup now for doing this, so things are just not working as I want them to be, relatively. But hopefully it's worse. But yeah, the series has had a lot of designs over the years that they've went with, and yeah, I figured, like, this has been, because here's the thing, this has been something I had been wanting to do for quite a long time now, but I just never really, like, I don't know, I just never really I didn't really know whether or not if I should do it, because I don't really know. I never really knew if I was the right person to, if I could add anything. But I figure, sometimes you gotta run before you can walk, so why not just go out of my way to. Why not just go out of my way to, just discuss the series, or rather discuss the different attires and whatnot, and see where we go from there. Okay, so let me see here. Hopefully this works. I'm using OBS for images, so I have no idea if this isn't going to work. So let's just test something out. All right. So yeah, okay. So for this stream, I should preface this by saying we are going to talk about Team RWBY today, and that's it. We're not going to be talking about like Juniper or any other characters. Just we're gonna try out with RWBY and see how far and how well this goes. And if I like doing it, maybe I'll do more for Juniper. Maybe I'll do more for other series that I'm interested in. But yeah, I want to test this out for like RWBY at the very least. If it goes well, then hey, then I'll do this again sometime. If it doesn't, well then I tried. That's all I can say about that. Oh, I see. So it can't show images, but it can show this. Okay, that's good. All right, so let me see. Okay, so first things first, we are going to be bringing up for Team RWBY, we are going to be talking about Ruby Rose. So we're going to be going through her designs from beginning, and then gonna steadily go down the list in terms of like more recent designs and whatnot. So let's get some of these up. Bingo. All right. So, first design. This is a concept art officially. And okay. So, I got to say genuinely, I think this design is damn near perfect. Honestly, like I love the red and black motif that they went with her. I love the just like the whole dress being black, right? The whole dress being black, and with these red accents scattered throughout on key points, with the cape being like a red background and everything, I feel is great. I think it helps keep the eye moving, and it doesn't like keep it necessarily just in one spot specifically. It like the colors are contrasting enough to the contrast enough to not blend into one another, but at the same time, they're also not too contrasting to the point where they feel like like it hurts to look at them. No, it's like red and black is a great combination. I think is fantastic. I also love like the white or silver depending on it, right? I love it as genuinely just I just love it genuinely as another like third color and whatnot. This design actually has a few different other looks to it, so we're gonna be going through like sort of the different art styles and whatnot. Because this is concept art, but then we also have Ruby Rose in Cross Tag Battle, which I think has her looking at her best. Like the artist for this genuinely like popped off. This is so good. Like I just love how they utilize the different colors. I love how not the different colors, but rather just playing around with the shades of red and black and silver and gray and whatnot. It looks just I this just as it just I love genuine like just again I just love how these colors all come together. I also love like particularly with this art the pose it strikes. Also, for anyone wondering, yes, I am going to be using like either designs that were either made by Rooster Teeth or endorsed by Rooster Teeth. So anything that is like redesigns or fan made redesigns, I'm not going to be doing that. But yeah. Also, regarding criticisms, I might bring up like design functionality, considering that this is a show where a number of like girls and guys all fight one another and fight monsters and everything. Yeah, I'm gonna have to bring it up. But genuinely, I mean, relatively, it seems like this design a little seems I think kind of a bit impractical for like combat, but at the same time it's just like there's a whole thing of like it's just anime bullshit, so I kind of I can suspend my disbelief a little there. But genuinely, I think overall this design is fashionable, it's simple, it's effective. I think it gets across the point really well. Like red has a great connotation to I hope I'm using that word right, but a great significance to passion. To passion, sometimes it's anger, but more so like passion or love. And black is usually more associated with more like darker themes and tones. And considering that her backstory is more like around her mom and how she died and everything, I do like the significance of this. Like I like the boots. Genuinely, I like. Let me. I like the boots. I genuinely like. I like how she doesn't wear like high heels or anything. Like no. Like when you're in the field and everything, what do you want? You want like shoes to tires that you want shoe wear that doesn't necessarily like it doesn't get in the way of like combat, but at the same time you also don't want something that is just like it doesn't get in the way of combat, but in the same time you also want something that can be fashionable in this sense. So I think this is a pretty damn good design, honestly. I don't mind it. I do want to see. So now we're gonna get a little more into the mediums. So this is so we've seen the 2D design, right? Let's get more into the actual. Oh, I guess we do have one more. Although I don't really know how much of. See, the thing about this is like this is going for one specific design. I don't really know how much more I can say about it. But we do have the one from Kyosetsu Teikoku, which is the Studio Shaft anime. See here? Yeah. And I don't know. I think I like the definitely I think I like the I think I like the use of coloring, like, definitely good in here. Uh it's relatively like a lot of what I had to say pretty much relatively the same. I do kind of like how the colors pop out a little more in this, like how essentially, like, for example, right, like black and red, the legs, the stockings or thighs, whatever you want to call them. I'm not sure which one. I'm not a girl, but the detail on the legs is like black stockings with, like, it's sort of like a red gradient going down to the feet. I genuinely think that's a good attention to detail. Like, you still have like the red, but more closer to the actual hood, where you got all these bright red colors in, like it fades to black. I think that's a fantastic design choice. But yeah. All right. So I've talked big game about the 2D designs. Let's talk about the 3D designs. Okay. So I will admit, and in retrospect, I don't know. Did I actually manage to grab it? I could probably grab it. Like, yeah, I don't think I did, but relatively, like, the 3D model, I think I feel like the colors kind of get a little more like lost in translation compared to the 2D. Like, let's take a look at the 2D again. Right? This is an example. Yeah, like, there's a lot more, I think, more vibrancy and whatnot. Even in, like, the original concept art, right? Like, you could tell there's a little more, like, pop to the colors. You can definitely tell there's a little more going under the hood. Like, definitely. Like, there's a lot more vibrancy to the colors that I feel genuinely get expressed a lot more in the 2D medium. Whereas with the 3D model, I feel you kind of lose that. You do kind of lose that, and it's still not a bad design, but I don't know. And again, you also do have to keep in mind that this was definitely like, this was them still sort of like playing around with making like a whole 3D animated show. So they were still kind of working around a lot of the kinks, and it was pretty rough around the edges. Like, I remember Volume 1 being pretty rough, honestly, in terms of animation. Don't get me wrong. So, yeah, that's, like, genuinely, I think, like, still though, the idea that they were working with, I think holds. I think it still holds even in 3D. Honestly, I like both. Like, if it's just 2D, I honestly have to give this design like, I gotta get this design like in 2D a 10. In 3D, I gotta give it a 9. I think that's fair because it's just like, again, it's not necessarily that the design is bad in 3D, but I feel like a lot of that vibrancy, a lot of those like colors, like the different like reds and different hues of reds that they were working with, genuinely, I think kind of get lost in translation, a little bit lost when it comes to the 2D. So, yeah. Yeah. So, like, for 2D, put this side to side. Yeah. Like, 2D, genuinely, pretty great design. Don't really have much notes over it. Honestly, it's honestly really good. Yeah. 3D design, though, it's like, again, 2D design, a lot of great colors. A lot of great use of the colors regarding red and black and silver. 3D, it's genuinely like it loses a lot of the it loses a lot of the vibrancy, which later on this list I wouldn't be surprised looking more into the details if that happens. There's one design I know in particular I am going to be getting on regarding the vibrancy, but okay. But yeah. Definitely 2D, 10 out of 10. I would say 3D, 9 out of 10. Okay, so that's not the only design RWBY also has either. We have a few key different designs, and we're going to go through like different volumes here. So this is like from like the first set of volumes, so volumes 1 through 3. So other than that, we have the pajama design, which only showed up a couple of times. Um, it's not bad. It's simple, like right? Like it's like I know I was talking about how earlier I was like I'm gonna talk about like the whole functionality regarding combat and everything, but it's kind of hard to do that when you have all these different little designs for other activities and whatnot, such as pajamas. But it's cute. You know, it still keeps the motif of black and red and gray and or white. So yeah, it's there. It's just a cute little design. So yeah, I mean, I don't really have much to say. It's a cute little design. Honestly, I'll give it a 9. I don't really have too much of a problem with that. All right. Other than that, the there's also the school design. And honestly, I'm I can try and look for it, but I am tempted to put everybody on Team RWBY on here because the unfortunate thing is pretty much everybody everybody in Team RWBY has this same design. The only key differences are certain things like the character's hair color or the style, right? With RWBY, it is the hood, and it's I'm sure some of our characters have some art details too, but it's just like the school design overall is just it lacks any real like it has like any genuine like personality to me regarding the design as a whole. It's just school design, and it only shows up a few times over the show and it doesn't show up again, and it's like I don't it's like it's not a bad design, but at the same time it's like too samey across the board for me to really be like, okay, I can give this the benefit of the doubt or anything. That it's like a genuinely like fantastic design. It's relatively like here it is. Yeah, this is pretty much everybody in the same design. Like if I were to show full body, like some characters probably would have like other little details here or there, but relatively like the design in school is just kind of the same. There's not really a whole lot that's screaming at me, "Hey, these characters are wearing different outfits." Like, and here's the thing too: they took some inspiration from a lot of stuff. They could have had like some significance regarding years. Like sometimes certain like just keeping it to anime, right? Certain animes that focus on schools will have characters wearing like certain adjustments to attires to signify like their year or their grade. Like if you went with that, I think that would have been fine. But yeah, this design it's not bad, but I just think it's just it having something like just something like maybe like a design that was a little more like school design that was a little more tailored to the individual on some level, I think could have been fine. But overall, it's just the school design just being the same across the board for so many characters is just it loses that it loses the personality. That's the thing I'm kind of focused on is that it loses a bit of the personality. And it's a big thing I like with RWBY is that the designs showcase personality, and I love that. Yeah. There's some details and whatnot, but I just figure this is it's a 6. It's a 6. It's not. I don't hate it, but I just wish it was doing more. It's a 6. But okay. Other than that, we also have her I guess before we move on to Volume 2, there is one thing here. I know it's adding to the whole thing, but I just want to show it. I already talked about this design, but yeah. RWBY's cross-tag battle sprite animation. Genuinely, I like just her in sprite form. I think is again fantastic. It just adds the whole 2D thing. Although, yeah, like sprite characters are a different medium of 2D as opposed to just like concept art or whatnot. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up. Anyway, I have like different like I have like all the cross-tag battle sprite characters for this, so we'll be seeing them more later on. But anyway, let's get into like volume 2 with RWBY. And now she only has one, actually two designs, but we're going to be taking a look at them. So first up, yeah, this design, which I got a few other examples here. Let's pull them up. Let's pull them up. Okay. Yeah, this design, I I'm not too sure, honestly. I feel like genuinely like you had something going on with the volume 1 design, that like the iconic design that RWBY wears. And I feel like above all else, it just like adding another color to it, like that much white, it just feels a little, I don't know, it just kind of feels a little, I don't know, I think it lose a lot of the simplicity, honestly. Like, I know it's like black, red, little silver on the side, but little silver and gray on the side. But with the gray or white, right, on this Volume 2 design, taking up most of the torso and the arms, I think, I don't know, it tones down a lot of the red, if anything, for me. And I don't know, like, okay, I do like, because I'm seeing it now, I do like the little added detail of like the rose underneath the dress, like around the skirt. I think that's a nice detail. But with that in mind, again, like the big part of why I like the Volume 1 design so much, especially when it comes to the legs and the waist, right? Is that the red the like the cut right here, right? The skirt. I'll show you. The skirt. Black. You have more of a black or darker here. Add in red. You add in like more of a red frill at the bottom of it, right? That acts as a dividing line from the rest of the design to help it feel like, again, to help it feel like a genuine stopping point, but help to it genuinely help, like just that lack of like just inclusion of black with the end of the skirt really helps separate the legs from the top. And with the Volume 2 design, I feel like, again, I like the added, I think the added detail of a rose on her, on the bottom of her dress is a nice, it's a nice, lovely design. It's a nice, lovely design choice, but it blends way too well. Maybe it's this shot, but it just blends way too well in with her stockings. So, yeah, this is, I don't know. It's a 5 for me, unfortunately. It's not, unfortunately, it's not really the best I think RWBY has worn, and it's in terms of other designs, like other than that. All right, so we do have, I think, about two more designs now regarding RWBY from volumes 1 through 3. One of which being the dress from the dance. So I would say this isn't bad. It isn't really bad, but it's like it's red. It's red, but that's I don't know. It's kind of it for me. Like it, I do like sort of like the tone and overall like color of the dress in comparison to her skin tone, because that's a big thing too. Skin tone actually does come play a big part in regards to like actual character design. Because if you have more relatively pale skin characters with light and bright clothing like white clothing and whatnot, some stuff can just kind of feel like it gets lost in translation. And I don't know. I think this design is kind of neat. It's not bad. I don't know. It's okay. I don't think it's a bad design, but it's just I don't know. Like the problem with some of these earlier designs regarding to RWBY is that they were very situational in that they were just like they were made for certain episodes or certain moments and certain events, and they don't bring them back. Like that volume 2 design, they don't really bring it back. They it's the same with a lot of other characters. Like when characters have a different design change, they don't bring the older designs back. Yeah. But it's this one's also I got to say it's a 6. It's a 6 on my end, honestly. It's not bad, but it's just like I don't hate it, but I don't like it either. All right, last one we also have is her pajamas that she wore in at the end of volume 3. Honestly, I think this is a fine design. I think this like again, like let's pull it up again. The pajamas from before. Yeah. Definitely like RWBY before. I think like the pajamas she had before had more of like it definitely like a carefree sort of like fun sort of atmosphere to it. I do think so. I do like the like it's sort of a major contrast in regards to the one she had in volume 1 where the pajamas here are a little more like dreary. They're a little more darker and it kind of adds to the whole atmosphere and everything. It is face value symbolism, but I don't know. I like the sort of polka dot like muted polka dot aesthetic with a white accent on the top. It's nice. It's nice. I'll give honestly, I'm just tempted to give this a 7. Like the I'm just tempted to give this whole design. I'm tempted to give it a 7 honestly. Yeah. All right. So that is volumes 1 through 3, but we're not done yet. We still have a bit to work with. So now we have volumes 4 through 6. Okay. Let me get a bit on this. There we go. Okay. Now, call me crazy, but, and hear me out, it's not terrible, but there are problems. There are problems. I think in theory, this design is relatively like it has something going on here. I think regarding like sort of the inclusion of like white or silver or gray, they do a better job at it with incorporating it more around the arms. Right? I genuinely like the 2D I think has a lot more color to it that I honestly respect. I also like the little added details and whatnot, like the rose detail on the stockings. I think that's nice. Also, them being tattered, like there being more tatters to this. I think it's good. I like it. I have to question, why are there so many belts? Like, let's get a close up on this. Right? Okay, so 3 belts already. Two, like 3 belts already. One on her arm, and one on her right arm, and 2 on her left arm. And I'm assuming there's going to be like one that we're not seeing currently. So there's that. Also, the dress top, which is like the white dress top, is just like, it covers the top, but it's not covering the chest area. It's not covering like the cleavage. It's just covering her shoulders, her arms, and her neck. And that's it. And regarding like the dress itself, the top, why is it held by a belt? Like, why? Why would you do this? Okay, like the cuffs, for instance, I can handle. The cuffs are perfectly fine because hey, you're fighting and everything. You don't want like loose clothing to get in the way. I get it. That's fine. But why go with the belts on the dress top? And then we go down a little further. Why the fuck do the boots have so many belts? Like, genuinely. Here's the thing, too, and I'm just gonna go on a limb and say this. I don't think this design was, like, done because the creator of it, like the artist, was like, you know what, I think this is a fire design, I'm gonna just go with it. No, you know, I think what happened? Genuinely. And I think this happens down the road, too. Because RWBY was an annual release show that came out every year. What I think happened was that they needed new concept art, they needed new redesigns for the characters. They contacted like an artist in particular, and the artist drew up some concepts, and then they looked over a design in less than 3 seconds and went, "This one's cool, go with it." Because that's what it feels like. This falls into what I like to call the 3-second design problem, where you look at a design for less than 3 seconds, it looks cool, it looks awesome. But you look at it for more than 3 seconds, you really start to notice the issues. You really start to notice the problems. Like I was looking at that Volume 1 design for more than 3 seconds, and I genuinely had a lot to say about it. I loved. I'm looking at this design more. I'm just like, why? Like, there's something here I like regarding it on a whole, but there's so many pieces scattered throughout where it's just like I look at this and I'm like, this is rough. A lot of unnecessary detail. A more is better approach in a lot of ways. I don't know. I just look at this and like it's rough. Like, and here's the thing: it's just like genuinely, I don't hate it, but there is like because I look at this and I'm like, you could genuinely like have something here to work with, but it just does like there's just so many problems with it. I just all right, that's the 2D design. Let's see about the 3D. Yeah. It doesn't get better in 3D. It doesn't. Leave it there. It doesn't get better in 2D. Or not 2D. It doesn't get better in 3D. It doesn't. The okay, so here. I was talking about this. How like I like the top, how they restrict more of the white to the arms and everything, but why does the chest have to be uncovered? And just you leave like the whole white cloth to just the neck. Why does it got to be like that? Like that feels very unnecessary. And this is just like it doesn't it doesn't translate well in 3D to me, because like at least with okay, right? At least with like the actual official art, right? In 2D. Like you could tell the difference between the skin tone and the actual cloth. Like that's clearly a gray. And she has a little more like yeah, her skin is pale, but she has a little more color to it. This, I don't know, maybe it's the lighting, but in this one, but this is just like it's kind of hard to tell this is an actual like part of her dress. Like this white part of her dress top. And not just like flappy arms. Also, like I'm assuming like right under her chin, this line here. Can't. Why can't I? Come on. Thank you. Yeah, the line here under her chin. I'm going to assume like that's supposed to be like a zipper, but it's just so like it's not really even that clear. I don't really know what to take from it. I don't know. This is a 4, honestly. I'm sorry. This is a 4. It's not that great. Okay. Yeah, there's just like it. Okay, I will say 2D. 2D is 2D is a 5. 2D I will give a 5 because I like the colors genuinely a lot more. But 3D, it's a 4. It's a 4. Okay. And that's kind of the design she just has for the show until we move on to the last one. So let me just get everything up. Wait, what are you doing? No, no, no. Okay. So, we have the last, more or less, design from the show that RWBY has. And that is her Elysian design from volumes 7 to 9. So the problems, like, genuinely, I was trying to be in defense of, like, the volume 4 design. Because there was, like, something I genuinely, like, I found, I liked a little more about it. But this design, I think, is a little... Oh, boy. So from this shot alone, okay. Why the hell are there so many belts? Also, what is with the belts on the gloves? Also, why are they fingerless? Like, okay, this design's supposed to be, like, for, like, more of a colder tundra-esque environment. Okay. But if you're gonna go with, like, fingerless gloves, like, don't have them be this fucking long. But also, why are there belts strapped to them? What is the infatuation with belts? There's a belt on her skirt. Why? And there's like a, I don't even know what this is underneath the skirt. And then there's like stockings and then boots, relatively the same color. Boots tied with belts. Why is this so fascinated with belts? Like, what is the process here? I like the, like, okay, hair is fine. I don't have much of a problem with the hair. And also, like, okay, I've seen the show, so I just will say the colors here genuinely are a lot better than the show. I will say that. So much so that I genuinely do associate her with like actual red in this. I think it's fine. And the white, you know, there's still white on her, but it's a little more subdued in 2D. I think that's fine. Yeah, 2D, I think, like, color-wise, it gets points for that, but design-wise, it's a 3. It's a 3. It really is. I don't I tell you what, if the design, I'll look at the design now for the 3D. If it genuinely, like, if I have more words to say about it, the 3D is going to be a 3 and the 2D is going to be a 4. But okay. So, let's talk about this. So, why with the belts? This is just I just, what is with the fascination in belts? Also, the colors here are, again, they're just done, they're not like the colors in the actual official art, right? Are actually not done justice. Because I remember looking at this design throughout the show and going like the red doesn't really, it doesn't really hit like, okay. But yeah, I remember looking at like the design in the show and being like the red doesn't really hit, and it feels genuinely downplayed because there's all these browns and the white and everything. It's just like all these other colors are just getting in the way of the red and black. Like you've really toned and drawn away from the actual black, which was a big part of what I liked about her design. You went away from that in place of more of these like whites and browns, and I just feel like it makes this whole design just feels cluttered. Like a more is better approach, and I hate it. I don't like it. Like I genuinely think, and also again, much like with the Volume 4 design, the colors in this are not done justice. Like there's so much vibrancy with the 2D design. At least I can give it that. The 2D design has like all this really good like choice of colors and everything. I love it. Yeah, this doesn't have it. This doesn't have it. This doesn't have it. Like it doesn't matter whether or not it's like in a colder environment or a warmer environment. This doesn't have that flair. This doesn't give those colors justice to me. It just doesn't hit. Yeah. So yeah, the last is the volume 7 through 9 design. 3D, it's a 3. 2D, it's a 4. Yeah. All right. So before we get on to more interesting design, let's talk about this one. Let's talk about the DC one because I feel like I want to talk about this. Yeah. What What have they done? I hate this. I genuinely do. Okay. We're gonna go through some details here. So, why the fuck is her cape like just two streamers or whatever the fuck? Like, I can say what I will about the functionality of like, just wearing a hood with as a cape and everything, but the hood and as like a hood and just it dripping down her back is like it was part of her. It was not just part of her identity. It was a good design choice, and you just kind of remove that for, by all accounts, what I think is to be like a really piss poor Superman knockoff. And like before anyone says it, no, like this doesn't like DC is not any better regarding some of its designs. DC has some pretty piss poor designs a lot of the times. Don't get me wrong. DC is not exempt from criticism, but yeah, this is not one of this. This is genuinely just like I hate this. I really do. Like you like so much of what I genuinely liked about some of the earlier designs, right? Like some of the earlier designs, genuinely what I liked was it was like there was this simple colors and it had genuine personality and it was just like it was effective in making the really addressing the character and really helping like really helping it make more of a personality. This feels like your personality is you're copying somebody. And I feel genuinely like, look, I'm just gonna be full out. I haven't seen this film, and I don't intend to, but it really feels like you're just copying superheroes like Superman. It really just feels like it. I'm pretty sure somebody's gonna be like, well, this, and that. There's this reason, like some sci-fi reason. There's some hallucinogen. There's some illusionary, magic-y, whatever the fuck going on. Logic and reasons don't excuse criticism. I'm just gonna say that right now. Okay? And yeah, just I also this is a nitpick, but her hair is done really bad in this. I don't like her hair in this. I don't like the small little like the small little tail. Just I it's not a great design. I don't like this design at all. This is a 1. Like I'm not even going to fight this. This is a 1. Like colors, I don't mind too much because they are very. I think they're more in theme with what RWBY has been going with, but this is poor execution. This is poor execution. All right, one last one before we move on to Weiss. Because there is one more property that I haven't talked about too much. And that is the Shaft anime. So this is Dream RWBY. And relatively, I mean, I think some of the problems I had with some of the other designs where it felt like it more and more as we went down the line with Volume 4 and the Volume 7 designs, they felt like they were getting more cluttered and clumped up and just like not really major focus in terms of color. This feels like a balance where it feels somewhat cluttered, but the use of coloring, the use of like the placement of certain colors too, feel genuinely like it feels pleasing on the eyes. Like it honestly is a like I think honestly it's a pretty decent like design color wise. I wouldn't say this is my favorite though. Again because I know I like the Volume 1 design quite a bit, and I think it's one of her best designs, period. But this is I don't know. It's just like I get the intention here, but it's still just like if I showed this to somebody, just like someone would say, like, dude, that looks like you just put on so many layers and just didn't know what to wear. Like, it's, I don't know. It does have personality. I will say that it does have personality. It does, like, and there's significance to it because yeah, this is like dream characters. It's just like your design is based around like one person's like perception of you, so on and so forth, yada yada yada. But yeah, I mean, like it's a bit like it's a little bit crowded, but the colors are used, I think, in the right ways. I don't mind it too much. And in the show, yeah. Honestly, in the show, it does lose a little bit of the colors, but I think that's very much in the case of like lighting and shading. But overall, I think it's relatively it's just fine. Like, I mean, like, I mean, contextually speaking, it makes sense. Hey, you're in an environment where there's a bunch of snow and it's cold everywhere. Makes sense. It's like again, it's not a bad design. It's not my favorite, and I genuinely, after seeing a bunch of the other designs, I think I like it a lot. Honestly, quite a bit. So I'll give this one an 8. I give this one an 8. Honestly, they're pretty even. Like I like both in concept and in the show. They're honestly pretty even. I don't mind it too much. So yeah, like I think it relatively it's a fine design. It's an 8. It's an 8. Okay. All right, that is what we got for RWBY. Now let's move on to Weiss. This is gonna be we're gonna be here all night on unless I get through these. All right. So we're gonna move on to Weiss Schnee. So I I'm gonna be honest. Like I think this design, like particularly fashion wise, I think is fine, but I really do think that ultimately you really could have done more with like the colors. I really do feel like the colors just kind of like I don't know. It's way too samey in regards to the colors. Like they all it all feels like yeah, like the color like character's supposed to be white, like represent the color white, but it just feels I don't know. It feels a little too like it doesn't feel like there's enough balance to go around. Like I will admit, like the at least the official art, like they tried to showcase it as like it's not completely white. There is like more blue in it, which honestly, considering that her layer designs would incorporate more blue, I honestly do think that's a nice take. I think genuinely in terms of the official art that this actually is honestly it's actually a pretty decent like design. I think like the colors being more focused on just being like more white and gray with a character who is more pale skin and has white hair, I think it's not the best choice. But again, like with the original idea, with the original design, going for more of these muted blues and more of a gradient on the dress, like I think this like genuinely like again, this design specifically, I think, and especially with the interior being red, I think is fine. I think I genuinely like again, this is another 10 out of 10 for me. Like specifically in 2D with the official. Other iterations like Cross Tag Battle, interestingly enough, it bumps it down to a 7. It does. Like, I love how they drew her, right? But it's just, again, it's not the best regarding the colors for me. Right. But that's 2D. That's 2D. We have to look at like the actual show and the model. So let's open up and take a look at the actual, what we actually got in the show. Okay. God, this picture is pixelated, but yeah, unfortunately, I think a lot of those colors got lost in translation. I really do. I don't know whether or not it was necessarily the actual software they were working with, but it loses a lot of the vibrancy, I feel, and a lot of I feel like the genuine color, the intention with the colors when it came to Volume 1. It's unfortunate because, like, again, I love like the original design for Volume 1 on her so much, but then you look at the show and it's just like a lot of that really just gets lost because it's just whites and grays, and it really just does, in my eyes, it just doesn't necessarily do a great job of representing this design to me. It doesn't. And again, I don't know whether or not that is because of the software or like the animation that they were using, but still, it just feels like you could have done more with really getting this design out. Yeah, honestly, it's a 6. Honestly, it's a 6 in 3D. Unfortunately, like I love like 2D 10. Absolutely. I'm looking at it closer, I'm like, I love the direction they were going with. Genuinely. But yeah, this design in the show, it's a 6. It's not the simplicity of it. It's not the simplicity of the design, because the design, like the dress itself, I'm fine with. The colors compared to what we could have had, that's where I have a major problem with. So it's a 6. Okay. And then we also have some other designs here. For one, we do have her pajamas, which is, it's a cute design. It's like a full one-piece dress. It's fine. It's a 6. It's a 6. It's okay. All right, now we get to move on to Volume 2. Peak. This is absolutely like you fucking cooked, and yes, I love this so much. Like this is by far, I think, the best Weiss has looked in so much throughout the show, like genuinely. Like, what is that? Like, I mean, like, I was given sort of RWBY a little, kind of shit for her design and whatnot, but I mean, like, in comparison, I think Weiss is just killing it with this design. Like, it feels very much like, it feels formal. It feels more like, it feels more richer, but at the same time, it also has some level of inspiration regarding like RWBY's design. Like, let's pull it up again. Let's pull up RWBY's design. Yeah. Like, genuinely, you look at this side to side, and you really feel like there is like some inspiration Weiss had for her design regarding this. It's like if you were to tell me that these two characters were best friends, I would believe it, like 100%. Like they don't have matching outfits, but they have similar outfits and in their own colors. Like I genuinely think like these characters were friends. Like that's I think that's like that genuinely I think that hits it home really well. Yeah, but like genuinely the design for Weiss in this is like it's a 10. It's a 10 on my end. It's just I love like here aside from like the fashion itself. The white mixed with black accents is such a fantastic choice. Like it's a simple color, but it is so effective at getting the job done. It's like, yeah, her design is white and it loses all of those blues that, they were having with the dress earlier, but it makes up for it with like this accenting, just the line work with the black. It just, if I were to draw Weiss, it would absolutely be in this design and nothing else. Like I'm not even gonna apologize for that. This is a 10. Absolutely, this is a 10 out of 10 fit. I'm that's absolutely. This is a 10 out of 10. Got nothing more to say on that. We do have one more design from Volume 2. And that is her dance design. And YouTube, yeah, don't worry, it's perfectly fine. Moniome had anti-skirt peaking technology, so we're not going to get canceled for this. We're not going to get canceled this. We're not going to get taken this down. It's fine. But it's okay. I don't know. It's just like it's like what I was liking with the original design that I showed before, right? Like there's no real like it loses the black accents and it's just a white dress. I don't know. It's okay. I don't know. I feel like if you were to go with the same sort of mentality as you were going with the actual like the concept art that you were working with, like I think that this could have genuinely been a little more of a prettier dress. I think I could have taken a little more, but the fact that it's just a white dress, it's just again, I don't really. I'm probably gonna say this with a lot of the dance episode designs, where it's just like they look nice, but there could have been more to it. I guess I don't know. It's a 4. It's a 4. All right. And now we get to move on to her design for volume 4 through 6. Okay, so I do want to talk about this one by one. This is honestly really beautiful. Like, again, I'm just going to say this right here. It's a 10 out of 10. Like, this is genuinely, I love the usage of color here. Like, the top being more like I was giving RWBY kind of shit for like the tops that she had in her volume 4 design, right? Pull that up. Like I was giving RWBY a little more shit for the top she was pulling in her design, but at least with this, right? It is done with the idea of it being more of a formal dress, like a more like a dress that's more intended to be for like wealthy, for a wealthy gathering. It's like it has more significance of nobility, and I like it. I think it genuinely looks good on her. I love the use of color choices, like her having more like of a darker top, and the chest being more of this muted blue, and fading to this beautiful, vibrant, like just almost sky bluish kind of color. Like I feel that genuinely, again, there's like a reason for it compared to RWBY's Volume 4 design, but genuinely the colors in this I think really pop off. I love the waist being tied with this white belt. Like it genuinely, I think this is like the best Weiss's design has. One of the best Weiss design. Like I know I just said this was a 10 out of 10, right? I know I just said this was a 10 out of 10. But yeah, this is just like both of them are tied for me. But again, like that's the 10 out of 10 outfit from Volume 2 is for 3D model. This is for the 2D model. And genuinely, like, I love the colors. I love just it's just beautiful. I just love it. It's so good. I just love how it all comes together. It's simple. It doesn't waste any it doesn't waste any like details or anything. It doesn't waste any like line work or anything on excessiveness or overcomplicates the design or anything. It's effective. I love it. All right. We get this, right? We have this. This is again, the 2D design, absolute like 10 out of 10. Love it. Then we have the actual design in the show. Oh boy. Yeah, this is a downgrade. They tried, bless the animators, they tried to keep in mind with what they were working with here. They tried. They tried. They really tried to make this work. They really tried to make this work. I can really see it. Like, because you can tell, like, the very similarities. Like, she has, like, these little dots of, like, blue scattered throughout, like, the skirt of her dress. Beautiful. Love it. They tried to go for the same vibe. They tried to go for the same vibe, and it all just looks pale in comparison. Now, the design itself, right? Actually looking at it, like, in 3D, again, it looks very nice. I don't mind it too much. It looks very nice. And I haven't really said this too much, but, like, their hair. Like, I genuinely love the hair in this kind of style, like a sort of offset ponytail. Like, you know, she's keeping her hair, you know, in order, but it's like, it's offset to sort of, like, showcase, you know, she's keeping her hair in order. She's trying to be, like, nice and neat and tidy, but like, she's not sticking completely to the rules or sticking by the book or sticking to what you would normally expect. Sort of like her character. It's just like, yeah, she's a princess. She's an heiress. But she's not necessarily what you would expect out of a stereotypical heiress. Like, she's you know, she's rich, but she's also, like, she wants to be a fighter and do the right thing. Which I kind of respect. You know, actually using your power for the better of people. That's what I like. And yeah, it's just like, again, the dress is good, but my god, this design really should have it really should have had some extra color to it. Like, it's just such a shame that we lose all of that vibrancy. Like, it all gets drowned out in this gray and this white, and even like the skirt frill, right? The interior of the skirt just looks like paper. It doesn't come off like the frilly skirt that she has in their design. I will give this a 7 for the fashion alone. The colors really, yeah. Absolutely, like, the 2D design is a 10 out of 10. The 3D is a 7 out of 10. I love the design, and it's just a shame we couldn't have gotten better colors. It's a really shame. Okay. We got a couple more designs here. So, now we're moving on to the volumes 7 through 9. And oh boy, did they fuck up. Honey, what did they do to you? What did they do? Okay, so I have drawn this design before. It sucks. I'm just gonna say, it sucks. From this look alone, right? Alright. Why are there so many belts tied to their waist? Why are so many belts tied to the waist? And this Why is her hair in a ponytail? Right? Why is her hair tied up in a tail? But it's this giant ass braid. What the? I don't really have too much of a problem with the blue and the black. I don't have too much of a problem with that. It's fine colors. Like, their usage of color in this design is a lot better than what they were doing with the Volume 4 design. In terms of, like, 3D model. But what were you cooking with this? Like, okay. This is already a 4 out of 10. This is already a 4 out of 10. Like, I'll even say this is probably like a 3 out of 10, honestly. But let's just be entirely sure, let's take a look at the design in the show. Because again, much like with the rest of the design, some things can get lost in translation, or some things might just end up looking better. Never know. It looks worse. It looks so worse. Okay. We have a clear design now. It's clear that they wanted to go for a pose and try to make a interesting silhouette, but it comes off more as they were trying to hide a lot of the details, because what in the fuck? The top of the design, the uniform, is this piece of cloth that is held together by a belt, and then there's these gloves that, what? These long ass gloves that cover the whole dress. Is just like, you could have made this just like some, like, okay, let's pull up the, here, let's pull up like the original, like the Volume 1 design, right? Let's pull it up. Alright? In her Volume 1 design, she has this open up like crop top jacket, right? You could have just gone with something like that. You could have just had this blue top be like a jacket, just like a regular jacket, right? And made it blue. You didn't have to go with this, oh, we have to cover it up. And then, again, so many fucking belts on the dress. And, like, again, as much as, like, I have said, the colors in the original design, I don't have a problem with. The colors really have lost the pop. They've lost the vibrancy, really. It's like, it is bold, cool blue on top, muted all the way down, muted with white and gray all the way down. It's and it's, the interior is supposed to have like this red, and I don't know, I really feel like you could have shown that off a little more. I really do. Like, and again, the problem is not the colors necessarily. I think like the colors in the right placing, I think is fine, but it genuinely, the fashion is bringing it down. Again, stupid ass, like, it's a stupid ass giant braid in a ponytail. It's like, that's, even in terms of like design, like if you were to cosplay this version of Weiss, that's gotta suck. Like, imagine if you actually had hair that long and you bleached it, like you made it silver and everything. That's gotta fucking suck. To tie your hair like that, to braid it up, it's gotta suck to keep all that together. It's gotta suck. This is, ugh. And here's the thing too, like, you could have gone with, say, like a blue winter coat, considering that, again, this is like the volumes where they were exploring a tundra. You could have gone with like a blue winter coat on top, a white inner shirt interior, maybe a red in terms of like, maybe like a little, like a neck scarf, maybe like a little scarf, like a handkerchief or something, like a red handkerchief. You could have gone with that and made like a white and gray for the legs. You could have gone with that, but no, it looks really cobbled together. It looks cluttery. It looks messy. It's, God, this was like, I said this was like a 4, I think. This is a 2. This is a 2. It got worse. It got so much worse. Okay. And we gotta talk about the DC one. Alright. And I will just say, not too sure about the colors, but I will give this the benefit of the doubt, considering we just saw this. The DC uniform, surprisingly, I actually like for its simplicity. It takes off a lot of the excess and sticks more with the whites and the grays. Now, granted, yeah, I don't think white and gray on Weiss entirely is a fantastic choice, but we just saw this. It's an improvement. It's an improvement. And also, her hair being laid back down like she's more along the lines of being like a princess or something. I like that significantly more than just her hair tied up in like that, the hair braid. Stupid ass hair braid. Like, this, relatively, I think, is a fine design. It's okay. It's, like, I think we could have done more with it, honestly. I think there could have been more done with it. But relatively, and, you know, I guess it is the lighting because, you know, in a proper lighting, this actually does, like, I like the use of the colors a little more. The blue is a little more muted, but it is, like, a little more of a bolder color. I do like. Yeah, it's genuinely, like, I think, at the very least, like, it doesn't, like it's placement. It's placement. It doesn't bunch up together. It feels genuinely like placement. I would probably have done a better job at accenting. Like, for more so the stomach, I would have probably gone with maybe a different color outside of the faded blue. Because the faded blue as an accent, I think, is fine. But, yeah, this could have probably, like, for parts of the dress that are faded blue and everything, that are, like, that are just whole pieces of cloth instead of just accents, I probably would have gone with a different color. But, yeah, this is okay. It's honestly, I gotta give it a 7. Honestly, this is honestly a 7. It's not my favorite, and it's not even like Weiss, but all things considered, I think this is, like, again, it looks relatively pretty on her, and it is a nice, like, the keep to the colors looks relatively pretty, and it's just like, yeah, this is something I probably could see Weiss being in, honestly. It's I think I give it a 7. It's a 7. It's a 7. It's a 7 out of 10. I like it. And then we also have, last but not least, we have Yosetsu Teikoku Weiss. Nightmare Weiss. Yeah, so let's bring up Volume 2 again, because I gotta cook. It was very clear they took inspiration from this design. It was very clear that they took inspiration from the design, because white dress, more muted in gray colors, white dress with black accents, like, genuinely, they were cooking with us. And her having this more militaristic uniform, I think, is just great. Now, again, I feel like the black really helps regarding this design, because you remove that and you make this so, like, you lose the direction. Like, and it's clear that, yeah, the direction you want is near the top. You want more eyes towards the actual, like, top half of her. But I do like the bottom half, again, being white, but her stockings have a shade of gray. It helps, like, help differentiate it. It helps, again, this is, like, it's just, like, there's a lot of sort of zigzagging. There's a lot of black line work on this, but it never, I don't know, it doesn't feel, like, overall cluttered. It feels a little high detailed, but it also feels like that detail helps guide the eye. I think that's a big thing. Like these feel very geometric, and I think they help guide the eye. And I like the details of like the snowflakes and whatnot to the side. I think that's a great like just little part of the. There's a little great detail to add for the space outside of the character. I think genuinely, like just this whole cut I think is beautiful. Like yeah, this design, it's a 10 out of 10 for me. Like honestly, Weiss has got some pretty great designs in this show. In this series, honestly. It's also she also shows up without the coat. I don't know. I think I like her with the coat, but it might be the lighting, but yeah, it's the lighting because her hair like it gets more grayer and honestly I don't know. Maybe at a different angle it would be good, but yeah, it's not too great on that shot. But yeah, like genuinely like I think this design is just honestly killer. Like it yeah, it has like a number of details to it, but they're details that get the job done. Like genuinely. I think this design is really just like they're really cooking with it. I think maybe depending on the colors, it can act, and depending on the lighting, depending on the shading, it can actually like drop. I think design alone, it's a 10 out of 10. In the show, it's a 9 out of 10. I think this is a fantastic design. It it doesn't have as much like vibrancy. It loses the blue that she was working with too much. Well, I mean, except for this, like she had blue shades, so there's that. But yeah, it's still relatively. I think it's a good design. Okay, we got through with Weiss. Now we're moving on to Blake. Okay. Okay, so I do honestly I this design ain't that bad, honestly. Like like genuinely I love the black and white motif to her. I genuinely like I think I don't know, I think like regarding the original design right here on the right, I think like the hair coming off a little more like wavier I think could have been I don't know, I guess you could say that it's been kept, but I don't know, it's just like the way the pose struck, I felt in the original. I think it could have like you could have gone with a little more floofier hair for her, I think. I don't know. It could have been a good way to differentiate her in terms of hair regarding the other characters, because a lot of them just kind of have like anime straight hair, like straight and long hair, or just kind of straight hair, or just kind of a little straight hair with shagged ends, a little bit. But yeah, just having her have a little more fluffy hair, I think could have been pretty. I don't know. I think it could be nice. But yeah, the design is pretty simple. It's just like black dress, and it's like a black and white dress with white short pants, and I think that's no. Yeah. Those are black stockings with black and purple stockings with black boots. Yeah, this design is actually not that bad. Cross Tag Battle gave her just purple stockings. I think that's. I also think that's genuinely. I think the cross tag avatar on Sprite honestly is pretty great. But yeah, I think overall, like this design, 2D. I think it's. I mean, it's not my favorite. I think it's a little. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I don't necessarily like the this particular type of fashion, but it's not bad. It's not bad. I like the use of coloring. I like the I essentially like the pose it kind of strikes. I like the look it gives off, more or less. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I would give this like this whole design like an 8 out of 10 regarding the 2D vibe. All right, so we gotta take a look at how it looks in Xiao. Right, so this is the model they went with, and I think relatively, they didn't really lose anything, and I think it's easy to work with that because so much of the color is just black and white. Yeah, I think a lot of the colors are just like black and white. You don't really lose anything. I think it's fine. Yeah. And I like looking at this design a little more. I'm kind of a little like I'm a little surprised about how much they were able to get like a dress thrift from the original actual work. Like the purple stockings. Like the purple stockings that fade to black. I think that's good. Yeah, this is overall. I think like relatively like I don't know. The more I look at it, the more it's actually like grown on me. I actually don't mind it too much, honestly. I think it's yeah. I think like I don't know, maybe it's the like 2D version, but it's like the 2D version gives me like an 8 out of 10 vibes. I think the version in the actual like show, like the 3D model is it's a 9 out of 10. It's a 9 out of 10. I think that's how I can go for it. It's honestly it's not bad. It's not bad. It's not bad. I like it relatively. It's not selling me entirely, but I like it. There's also her pajamas, which, yeah, they honestly, I love that they kind of go with it. It gives, I know that they don't really show it too much. It gives off more of sort of a kimono-esque vibe to it. I love, like, from what we see, like, the different little accents. It keeps in mind, again, it keeps in mind with the coloring. It looks, it looks nice. It looks nice. I think it's fine, relatively. And it's just, again, it looks nice on her. I think I would give this a 9 out of 10. I think I'd give the pajamas a 9 out of 10. Alright. So that's all we got for Volume 1. Move on to Volume 2. Okay, yeah, this is genuinely, I don't know, maybe it's me, but I think this is more up my alley. I like this design significantly. I like the top, I like just genuinely the aesthetic being more white and black. Like, the top being more white and the bottom being more black with white accents. Like, it has sort of an inverse going on, where the white has more black accents, and the black has more white accents, like top to bottom. I like it. I genuinely like this design. Honestly, like rocks. It just some of the Volume 2 designs. Like I know they were only in for a couple of episodes, but genuinely, they really do like pull it off. I think this is fantastic. Like I do like that they do still try to keep to some of the original intention for the design. I do like that it do try to keep to it. I like her actual wrists and her forearms being covered in like black sort of I hesitate to say like a whip. Like it's like I don't know, it's but just the black detail on her wrists and forearm I think is I think it's a nice little touch to touch and nice little attention to detail. Her pants having like being black but having this sort of white stripe as an accent, I think again is a really great choice to go with. And also like her boots down here. I think having like little belt buckles, just like two little belt buckles, not too much, not too few. Like again, this design honestly rocks. Like this is a 10 out of 10 for me. Absolutely, this is a 10 out of 10. I genuinely love this design. Like, honestly, 10 out of 10. A plus, no notes. Okay, and then we also have the dance Blake, which, yeah. Yeah, it's nice. It's purple. Yeah, don't necessarily know what to say about this one. It's purple, it's nice. It's a 4 out of 10. It really is. It's the dresses so far don't really give me like they're it's just like if they were done in a different way. I really feel like the dresses could have been like something good to look forward to. But it doesn't really like, the way they're done in the show, it's just nah. I imagine if there was like a 2D artist that actually took the time to draw them in their dresses, I think that would probably come off a lot better as opposed to what they did in the show. But yeah, it's a 4 out of 10. I don't really think any of the dresses necessarily regarding that particular part of the story are gonna sit well in my mind. But alright. Okay, so with that out of the way, more or less, let's get into Volume 4, because I got quite a bit to talk about from here on out. Okay. Yeah, girl. Man, you had something going on. You had something going on with Volume 2. Like a decent balance. Like, you had the necessary details. You got everything down pretty decently. And you fucked it up. Why the fuck is she wearing a giant-ass white coat? And again, it's just like, oh god. Is she wearing, like, leather boots? That's a choice. It's just like, I'm just like, why the giant white coat? That's just what baffles me the most. It's like, a character that is known for being associated with the color black, and you decide to shroud her in white. Make it an accent, but not the fucking primary. Ugh, it sucks. And it sucks because I like genuinely I know it sucks because I know you remove the coat, she looks significantly better. This this is a 4 out of 10. It's just that I don't care. This is a 4 out of 10 for me. Here. And it doesn't necessarily get better. Yeah, I just don't the design could be so much more if you lose the fucking coat. It's a 4 out of 10 regarding this. And the reason why I say this is because I know for a fact you remove the coat, it looks significantly better. I will fucking prove it. I don't even need to use fan art. I don't need to use fan art. Because the show already did it. Remove the coat. Girl, you genuinely, you're killing it. Like, this is, honestly, this is fantastic. Like, you went from a 4 out of 10 design on the right here to an absolute 10 out of 10 design. Absolutely. This is fantastic. I love this design so much. Remove the extra bloat. You remove the heavy fucking white-ass coat, and you get peak. This is such a great design for Blake. I love the sleeveless top. I love the black pants, the white belts, and the belt over here on top of her chest with like carrying the sword. Like again, this is the problem I had with like RWBY and Weiss's designs is that Weiss's designs later on is that they work too much with belts. They work too much with belts, and I'm just looking at that like you don't need that many. This design gets it down. Now, again, not really too sure about the whole leather boots. Really don't care about the leather boots too much, but I mean, you're looking at most of the top here on the left. You're looking at everything from the waist up, more or less. This is fantastic. This is absolutely like the one on the right. Fucking, it's a 4 out of 10. One on the left, 10 out of 10. I just genuinely another A plus, no notes. Like, this is a D, and this is a D, and I would have absolutely written notes. Remove the code. You remove the code. 10 out of 10. This is an A plus, no notes. Love it. And then we get to her Volume 7 design. Yeah. That's Volume 4. Okay, let's talk about this. Oh boy. Okay, so where do I begin? Okay, first off, short hair. Love it. Now on to the criticism. Okay. Why in the fuck do you have just... The coat has detail for a zipper all the way down. Why are you wearing it like a tailcoat? Furthermore, why the fuck does the arms have zippers? And furthermore, if they do, why are they broken and held together by belts? Again, like, what is his fascination with belts? Also, like, I know I gave the leather boots some shit, but what the fuck is with, like, the cat suit and all these fucking zippers and knee pads covering the zipper? This design, fucking, this design sucks. It sucks. My god, it's just like you have a coat with a broken fucking zipper on 3 places. You have a cat suit that has a zipper here on the neck, and then 2 individual zippers for the boots that go all the way down the leg, and the legs of which knee pads are covering the trail of the zipper. It's just like... And on top of that, you shroud it in white and make black an accent and just overall a color that gets overshadowed. I'm sorry, is this a character associated with black or not? Like, hell, you could have just made the top, like, you could have just gone more with the purple in this. Like, I genuinely, the fact that they had it, they got this right with the previous design, and they fucked it up with this. I just, ugh. This is a 2 out of 10. It's a 2 out of 10. And in 3D, it does not get better. The details just get more and more noticeable. Let's have a zoom into this, okay? God, why would you put these fucking zippers? You do not need these fucking zippers. You don't. You don't need these zippers, and, ugh. It's just... God. The only good thing I could say about this is, again, like, oh my god, and... I guess I can give, like, the harness on the back a pass because it's carrying her sword, and oh my god, I just noticed this. Another belt buckle on the collar. And that's to imply that this whole jacket stops without any sleeves. because it has to imply these sleeves are a separate piece of cloth again. This design is a 1 out of 10. The colors, again, I'm giving a pass on the colors with the 2D design. 2D design is a 2 out of 10. The 3D design for me is a 1 out of 10. God. Remove the zippers, girl. Get rid of the zippers. Put some normal boots on and put a normal fucking coat on. Ugh. Okay. So, with that out of the way, we got 2 other designs. We got Dream Blake from Hyosetsu Teikoko. And I gotta be honest, not my favorite. I'm gonna be honest, not my favorite. I love the colors a little more. Like, I genuinely, the interior of the hair being purple, love that. I love the purple stockings. I even like the cute. Even love the animal paws she's got on. Also, the significance because it's basically like, you go with the idea that she's, both like looks like a human, but also has like more this animalistic feature to her. And in the story, there's contextually speaking, where it's just like it kind of adds to Weiss's confliction, where she wants to see like Blake as her own person, like as her own teammate, but she also has this major prejudice around the faunus. So there's that, and also in some cases, they also like the fur can actually act as if like like little fur accessories like fur coat and not fur coat, fur boots and like fur gloves. Yeah. The whole design, I think, is a weird regarding fashion. Like, 'cause it's just the line work I feel like is a little bit iffy. It's a little messy. It's a little messy. I like the colors. I think that the fashion on it is. It could have honestly. I think you could have done something a little more different with it. But yeah, it's. Yeah, it's it's a 6. It's a 6 out of 10, honestly. And that's not the only one we got. Because we also have Nightmare Blake, aka female Virgil from Devil May Cry. I know this is supposed to be like she's just going for Adam Taurus in a way, but it's just Virgil. It's Virgil. Yeah, honestly, I think it might just because it's a little less busy, but I like this a little more than her dream fit. Also, like how like the yeah, I like how the like the little details of it being like fur and everything become a little more like threatening and wild when it comes to the nightmare design, and they're a little more like softer and more like just kind of they come off more as like I guess sort of like a cat in the dream fit, but with the actual like nightmare fit, yeah, she comes off more like the fucking her hands look like they're about to fucking gut somebody. Yeah, I'm not too sure about the hot pants on Blake. I'm not too sure about the hot pants on the Nightmare version. That's a choice. I guess it does sort of help keep the balance because like her skin tone impaired with more of these darker colors like black, like it helps keep a divide, but still, I don't know. Kind of feel like you could have done something a little different, but I don't know. Like the more simpler design, I think this is honestly like a 7 out of 10 for me. I even like the little added details, like again the fur being a little more ruffled and shaggy, as opposed to like on the dream design where it's a little more like calmer, a little more prim and like prim and proper. Yeah, but with the actual like nightmare design, it loses a lot of the complicated parts of it. Like the nightmare design looks a lot more. It looks a lot more focused. Whereas the dream Blake feels a little more. It feels a little more all over the place on some areas. Yeah. The dream design I would give a 6 on the right, 6 out of 10. The nightmare I would actually give like this an 8 out of 10. It's yeah, I'm not too sure about like this design being Blake as a whole, but it's relatively it comes off pretty nice. Okay. All right. So, oh, we have one more. I almost forgot. I was about to get to Yang. We have one more to talk about. All right, so this is her DC fit. I would say, I like the colors. I like the choice of wardrobe. But honey, remove the mask. Remove the mask. It ain't hiding shit. All right, remove the mask, or hell, considering this is like your crossover with DC, have her wear like the Robin mask he had on in Teen Titans. Like have her wear that. I think that would have been a little bit better. Or hell, she's she's a cat. Have her wear a Catwoman mask. This is like, because here's the thing, right? This does have a lot of details to it, but it feels very much more concentrated. It feels a lot more focused. I don't know. I think this isn't that bad of a design. I genuinely like. I don't mind it too much. Yeah. 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 This isn't that bad of a design. It's genuinely it keeps in line with the same colors and everything. Although when I was looking for like different images, like genuinely, so already off the bat, I'm just gonna say it's an 8 out of 10. It's an 8 out of 10. Like genuinely, I don't really have much bad to say about it. But I did look into some concept art that they had for it, and genuinely, I feel like what they have here regarding the concept art, like this is genuinely beautiful. Like, just I really wish they would have kind of gone with that. More of her being surrounded by this purple aura throughout the design. I feel like that could have been genuinely, like, that could have been really cool. Because, just, I'm looking at the concept art and I'm just like, this looks sick. Like, genuinely, if there was, like, ever, like, if there was ever a beat 'em up game where characters get involved and we get, like, these fucking DC fits, I kind of want like Blake to have just be surrounded by a shadow, surrounded by this energy and whatnot, and sort of like kind of genuinely like it being kept with her character because I feel like this looks so fucking cool. Like the concept is a 9 out of 10. Concept is absolutely 9 out of 10. I love it. The actual design and practice, it's an 8. I don't really have too much bad to say about it. Just girl, lose the mask. Okay. All right. We're nearing the end here, so let's finish this off with Yang. All right. I think that's fine. Okay. So now we're dealing with Yang Xiaolong. I honestly have to say it's an interesting design. Like it is it's an interesting design for a teenager. I will say that. Because like it's one of those designs where it's just like it feels like a Bleach design where it's just like you look at me and you look at this and then you look at me and tell me this is a teenager. Cuz yeah, this is a little a little much. Just saying. It's kind of a little out there. But that aside, I think relatively like it's kind of clear that they did have something like for I think for most part I think Yang has kind of been more of a favoritized character. Like she like her designs have kind of like I think over the years have kind of been pretty decent and I think they like yeah, I think it's clear that Yang was one of their favorite characters that they really like wanted to express that most in the design. And relatively I think so I'm gonna just say this. The concept design I think is the original one on the right. The colors are weak. I think the colors are a little more weak because they're very bright in line with her hair. I like the yellow just being secluded mainly to her hair and some other details, but her being donned in these like these browns and these yellow, these browns and these oranges and whatnot, like all these little different colors and everything next to like her yellow hair, I think is a good attention to detail. Like you have a character that's more color themed, you work with a specific design, you save most of the color for in this character for the hair. I like that. I think that's fine. I really wish that for the actual like hair, we would have gotten more of the flame aesthetic that they were going with in the original design. Cause her hair in most like the show and other iterations of RWBY, her hair is like long and flowing. And it's not until like her power is activated that gives off the vibe of fire because it's literally set on fire. But yeah, relatively, I think this design in terms of like, and the concept itself is like it's a 6 out of 10. Honestly, it's that specifically for the colors, and also again, it's just like interesting design for a teenager, I will say. But we'll keep it up. But let's switch over to what it actually looked like in show. Okay. So yeah, this is one of the times where I'm like the colors sort of being either darkened or somewhat lost in translation, right? Because that was kind of the problem I had with some of these earlier designs. The colors being like this, I don't really have a problem with. I think this genuinely like you keep a lot of the brighter colors to the hair. You keep that as the main focus for brighter colors, but you have first and foremost like front and center you have a lot more darker colors like brown you like colors that feel a little more grounded and I like some of the placements here because it feels like again this design feels a little more freer. This design feels a little more like they're playing around with space. Like her belt is brown but sort of has this like little bit of a frill or a little bit of a detail with this white dress piece. Her boots are like again brown, but she has like orange socks and like again this is also playing with asymmetry, but it's playing with it in a way that feels it doesn't feel distracting. It doesn't feel distracting. It doesn't feel like you're only using asymmetry as a crutch for your design. No, it feels like you're adding a little bit of like something here. You're adding some asymmetrical pieces here and there. Yeah, and the like again, like just orange and yellow being sort of the accents next to this brown, and then the yellow, her hair taking up the bulk, sort of being in the back, I think is great. I think it's fantastic. This is like, yeah, I think the concept is like a 6 out of 10. I honestly gotta give this like, honestly, I gotta give like the 3D model a 10 out of 10. Yeah, and it looks significantly like a little less weirder in actual like with the actual model, I will say. But yeah. And then we have one other design. It's her in her pajamas, which I like. This I like it. I think her with like just just with black and orange, I think is really cute. It helps keep more, I don't know, keep like, she's more kind of like a sort of outgoing personality s kind of person, and personality kind of person. But she has more of an outgoing personality, and it's a little more athletic. Like she has a little more of like an athletic side to her, and it kind of gives off that vibe to me. And I think that really like, I think that really helps. And yeah, it's just again orange and black, and just having her hair be more of the yellow. I think that's fantastic. Honestly, this is like a 9 out of 10 regarding the pajamas. But okay, now we got to move on to volume 2. Hmm? Oh, that's weird. Did it not? Ah, it didn't. Interesting. All right. Well, I will talk about this in the meantime before I get to the actual one. So, her dance dress, it's very, on my perspective, I would say, honestly, it has, I think, some heavy inspiration to Marilyn Monroe. Very much. I think it is a very. I think it's a nice design. It kind of comes off in the same problems I do have with the other like dance dresses, where it's a simple design. It's nice, and it looks like it looks fine, and it looks all right, but it feels too simple, and there's not really a whole lot to help address the personality in a lot of ways. Like again, like it feels very like Marilyn Monroe inspired. Like they either it was that was the intention, or that was a coincidence. But either way, like if it really feels like they looked at like either way, it just kind of to me feels like they looked at like Marilyn Monroe, and then went, you know what? She's got blonde hair too. We'll go with that for this design. And it's okay. I wouldn't really say this again. This is my favorite. I'll, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. Honestly, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. It's here or there, but yeah. All right, here we go. I don't know why I didn't save this, but now we get to the bigger one. So it's interesting because I kind of want to bring up the, yeah. Let's compare, because relatively, I feel like both of these have a lot of similarities to them. So for one, she has a little more detail to her, like the purple cloth right here. But next to that, like there's less skin showing. There's less skin showing, honestly, than I thought there would be. But and I think the reason for that being why I thought there was like more skin on it is because of the color choice. It looks it very like you look at her like genuinely like it's hard to tell what is actually her skin and what is actually part of the actual jacket. Like the torso itself, it's kind of hard to tell whether or not that's like a full part of the dress, or if like that's just a dress kind of cut up into pieces. You know what I mean? The black on like the top part of her dress, like covering her arms, alongside it being sort of accented and more around the legs, I think is fine. I don't really have too much problem with that. It's yeah, I would have chosen a different like color overall for this design, I think. Like I don't know, maybe go for something along the line of like a red or something, or maybe yeah, going along the lines of like a red. I think would have probably have helped kept this more like balanced out and kept like given a little more clarity to the design, something like that. But it just feels like again, I think the biggest thing holding this design back for me is the colors, because again, it just feels a little too like a little too much like it blends a little too well into her actual skin tone for me. It's a 5 honestly for that. It's a 5 out of 10. Oh yeah. All right. So now we're gonna get into a few different designs because throughout volumes 4 through 6, she's had a few different ones. So we're gonna have to go through those. So first up is this was pretty much the design she had for a good chunk of volume 4. And yeah, I think this is like it's not a bad design. Like genuinely, I think the color choosing is fine. Like they went with more subdued and more muted colors, and they kept an orange top for her. Yeah, but it is like covered by a more brown or beige esque kind of coat on top of that, and give her brown pants, white sneakers. Like, and her hair is I think more tied back relatively. I was in the shot, but genuinely like this isn't that bad of a design. I like the color placement. It's a lot more simpler, but I don't know. I think this is I don't know. For some reason, it's giving me like Infamous vibes in a way. Like the design feeling very like casual, but at the same time, it's just like I could see you're kicking ass in it. That's the thing. Yeah, it's a 7 out of 10. I think this design is a 7 out of 10. Okay. So let's move on from that to the main design from volume 4. Okay, so genuinely not too terrible. But some of these design elements, they could be they I don't know. I mean like okay, I'll give the boots like a pass because you know those zippers just stop at a point. So yeah, you know that kind of makes sense. But the gloves over the actual like her actual hands and everything and her arm, like even her prosthetic arm, that seems just needless. And then there's this part of the collar that's also covering her like orange scarf. I don't know what that's about. And again, similar to a number of other designs, like the 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 jacket feeling like the jacket ultimately like having a zipper that doesn't go all the way down to where the jacket should end. That's a problem. And also, like these tails, this part of the coat, this comes off, which I kind of like that they do that because in the show they do it whenever she needs to fight. That's fine. But it's just like, what's the point of these? What's the point of this? What is the point of this? Like genuinely, if you're just gonna take it off every time you go in to have a fight and everything, like, and it's not a part of the coat itself, right? Why have them to begin with? Like, genuinely. And this is it in show, and it does not look great. This is a problem I have with some of these designs, is that yeah, it's just like I think for a lot of the designs in the actual like, well, at least for Ruby and Weiss, the colors just get drowned out. There's not really a whole lot of vibrancy when it comes to the coloring, which is a shame. And also, the coloring in the show it can honestly at times look significantly worse than the actual art. Like, genuinely. I just I'll give the concept art at least like a 6 out of 10, honestly. There are some design elements I do not agree with regarding it, honestly, and some design elements, especially in the show, that honestly come off as a little stupid. But relatively, it's stuff where it's like you take off some things here and there, and relatively, I think it's a fine design. You take off some things here and there, you add a little something more. Also, again, I don't understand why the concept design has just like, again, with like the zipper on her jacket. At the very least, with the show, it doesn't necessarily come off that way. I don't know. I think the show's design is like, I think it's also a 6 out of 10, honestly. Oh, I didn't talk about this one. This is technically a design. Yeah, this was when she was starting to get back into things. It's without the coat, and they added in an arm, and the pants are less. Like, let's bring it up again. Yeah. Yeah, it's relatively the same design. Like, she has her hair tied back, which I think is great. She has a new prosthetic arm, but relatively aside from the color on the pants, these are kind of the same design. Um, but considering that they added in the arm and they removed the jacket, you know what? I gave this what? Did I give this like an 8? I'll give this. I think I gave like the one for the one on the right an 8. I'll give the one on the left a 9. I think these are pretty good designs. I don't know, characters that like wear at times characters that wear less layers, but at the same time wear clothing that isn't incredibly like over gratifying in terms of like sexual appeal and everything, right? Like what she's got on right now is like it's less layers, but it's a simple design. I think it's effective. Okay. But yeah, uh it's interesting because everything except the actual design from volume 4 through 6 I actually do like. All right, we're getting closer. But now we got to talk about the volume 7 through 9 design. We got to talk about Atlas. Okay, so let's take a closer look at this. Okay, so on some level, I will say genuine improvement over volume 4. Genuinely. Like you're going like again, this is very much a point in time where it's like this is a point in time where they're going like more of a colder area, more of a tundra. Cool. She goes with more of like a sort of jumpsuit that you would I imagine you would probably see like other people who work in like construction or work in like more physical labor fields would wear. That's cool. Some problems though. I think you all can see what I'm about to say, but genuinely, why the fuck isn't this just a full piece jumpsuit? Why are the legs just separate pieces of the suit? And furthermore, why are they held together with more belts? These little belts here, why are they held here with belts and buttons? Like
Does Atlas just have this much problem regarding like keeping their clothing together? Like, really? Like they couldn't just figure this shit out, honestly? Like, but honestly, I think that's like the only biggest criticism I do have of it from this, because I love the color of the jumpsuit. The interior of the jumpsuit with her having like from what looks like a white sports bra or a white tank top, I think is fine. Her having a crop top winter jacket, fantastic. Like you have her like in this fit, which is more for physical labor, but you give her more of this sort of like big time like thrill seeker s kind of vibe, right? It feels more like essentially like something that I feel like a Guilty Gear Strive character might wear in some way. But yeah, I think this is more or less fine. It's an 8 out of 10. This design overall is an 8 out of 10. I love the boots, like genuinely, like it's just regular boots. Like these are like I imagine these are probably like something along the lines of like Carhartt or something boots. And the cloth that's usually on her left leg is now switched to her right. Like yeah, genuinely like there's not too much about this I don't really hate. Like her having like one of her hands having orange gloves, which I think this is fingerless. Yeah, it's fingerless. Yeah, it's an 8 out of 10. It's an 8 out of 10 for concept. Now for the show. We got a few different shots here. Okay, so let's take a closer look. So yeah, I think it is a white sports bra or she's wearing, or at least something white underneath. The jumpsuit having more like an overall S kind of strap to it, I don't have a problem with. That's fine. That makes sense. It's functional. Yeah, and again, the jacket, the crop top jacket, again, I'm fine with. It adds a little more personality to it. And, you know, you're in an area where it's cold, and also it doesn't look like you're really wearing much else underneath that actual like coat aside from like the actual jumpsuit. So yeah, wear a coat. I like that the arm is a little more like refined, because this is a little more different compared to what she was carrying with in Volume 4. I like that little design change. But yeah, relatively I think the colors relatively I think are pretty fine. Like nothing too like yeah, there's a change, but it's nothing too terrible. I think this is relatively I think this is a decent design, honestly. This is both in show and in concept. This is an 8 out of 10. I would say so. Yeah. Yeah, this is definitely like I don't really have too much to say about this design that I really like hate. That's the thing. Like this design honestly again, I don't really have much to say. It actually is pretty decent. Biggest notes would be like, hey, make the full jumpsuit. Don't go for these zippers on the legs. All right, don't go for these zippers and these belts trying to keep this shit together on the legs. Like, just make it a full jumpsuit. If you have to add extra details, you already had something going on with the detail here, which I don't even know if that's a belt or not. I don't think it's a belt. I think it's just something that's I think it's just like a utility that's tied to her leg. Which is fine. That's fine. I don't mind it. So yeah, I genuinely like cut the legs being like on the jumpsuit being pieces compared to the whole thing. Like make it a full jumpsuit. Yeah. Otherwise, yeah, this design is an 8 out of 10. I don't. Yeah, I don't hate it. All right. So we will move on to
the DC fit, and then we'll finish it off with the Hyosetsu Teikoku, and then we'll call it. Okay. So, call me crazy, but I kind of like it. I kind of like it. I don't think this is a terrible design. I think relatively this is actually a honestly it's a pretty decent design. You know, it's just like I think relatively this is fine. This is honest. This feels relatively fine. It like I love the color choicing. It definitely like this whole outfit comes off as armor, which is a plus. I think that's like putting a girl like Yang into like some armor genuinely I think is a plus. I think this is fine, like genuinely. I also like that it keeps in mind like she has like no weapon or sword by her or anything. Like usually characters in armor carry sword, right? But the way this armor is like actually focused on, it gives you the vibe that she's actually like a hand-to-hand combatant, which she absolutely is. Yeah, she'll use like projectiles on some level, sure, but she mostly fights hand to hand, which I kind of like. I like this vibe that it's giving, where it's like this is genuinely. Also, I see some muscle definition on the right here. That's actually kind of nice. But yeah, this isn't that bad of a design. I don't hate it. It's genuinely it's like it ditches a lot of the needless details that were going on with some of the RWBY designs later on, and it goes for something a little more streamlined. It goes like yeah, there's a little more asymmetry to it, but it's not so noticeable that it's obnoxious. It's just noticeable enough to make the design a little more interesting. Yeah, this design is actually not that bad. I don't hate it. Again, I've never seen this movie, and I don't intend to watch it, but just from looking at it, like, so far, I think RWBY's the only one who got the shaft on this, like, design in the movie, because I hate her design in the actual, like, movie. This is a 9 out of 10, by the way. But, yeah, like, Blake, Weiss, and Yang, I think, relatively had designs I don't hate. I think they're fine. Alright, now we have, last but not least, this design. Yosetsu Teikoku. Now, I do want to put this up and compare it, because at a glance, it can seem like, isn't this literally just their Volume 1 design? Because that's kind of what I thought when I went into this. So let's compare. Let's compare and contrast. Okay. Okay, so let's do some comparisons. So, first off, this is showing significantly less skin. The colors are a little more toned down. The shoulders, like the shoulders and whatnot, have less puff in the less puff going on regarding like the shoulders. She has goggles. Less of I would say a sports bra, like actually like with her insignia, because in her Volume 1 design, there's like a sports bra actually carrying her insignia and everything. And in this, I think and in the one on the right, her dream design, it relatively it's very similar, but there's like subtle changes. Like she doesn't have hot pants on. She has pants where one of them is cut off by the leg, and one of them is replaced by stocking. Yeah, and the boots are like they don't have any like laces or anything. They're just kind of boots. And her hair is tied back. Also, like they ditched the scarf and added in, I think, a choker. Yep, they added in a choker. Yeah, this design is like it's very similar.
but you can tell like looking at it, there's little differences, and I think relatively like I would say honestly, this is actually a pretty this is an okay design. Like, or I say okay. I mean, I like this design. It's not really hurting me or anything. It's not really hurting my eyes or anything. Relatively. I think it's yeah. It's just like I think this is actually like the more I look at it, especially when it goes into the show, it's actually kind of cute. I actually think this is a pretty good design. I like the belts to her side, like sort of keeping the cloth to the left of her leg. Yeah, this is relatively like it's almost a similar design to what Yang wears, but there's all these little subtle changes. If you look closely enough, you start to notice it and admire it. Yeah, like so far, a lot of these designs that I've been seeing so far with Yang have ultimately solved the 3 second design problem. Where, like I said before, some designs you look at them for no less than 3 seconds and they look really good. But you look at some designs for more than 3 seconds, you start to notice a lot of the problems. Let's bring up one of the designs I had a major problem with. You look at Blake's design for about 3 seconds, right? In your mind, you're just like, oh, that's kind of a cool design. You look at it for more than that, you start to notice the problems. The legs, the boots have needlessly just zippers, and the zippers are covered by knee pads. The coat has a giant broken zipper going down the middle that turns into a tailcoat. Has a belt for some reason across the waist. Has 2 broken zippers on the actual forearms that are held together by belts. Has a giant catsuit that has multiple zippers, including from the legs to the actual like part of the neck. Like, the more you look at the design, the worse it gets, in my opinion. But the more you look at like what Yang wears, like there's a lot more positives to have than negatives. I feel genuinely like out of everybody, Yang is like probably the character that gets favored the most when it comes to her designs. Like she probably gets like honestly I think she gets a lot of the times the best fits. Like she gets some of the best designs. Yeah, this is a 9 out of 10. I would even say 9.5 out of 10 honestly. This is really good. But yeah, wow. That is gonna do it. Wow, I didn't think I would have that much fun. But yeah, this was genuinely, I think, enjoyable. And honestly, I wasn't expecting to, like, I wasn't expecting to, like, really be able to gather my thoughts about this. Because this is the first time I've actually done, like, a character design critique like this. So overall, my overall thoughts about this. RWBY, Volume 1 design is peak. Volume 1 design is peak. Everything else kind of goes majorly down the drain and is significantly worse in my mind, except for her Hyosetsu Teikoku outfit, which, yeah, it's a little cluttered, but it looks relatively nice. Weiss. Conceptually, Weiss has really beautiful, like, colors on her design that get lost in translation when it comes to the actual show. Like, both her designs in the volume 1 and volume 4 have all these like really useful focuses on blue and white, and ultimately it just gets lost because volume 1 her design mostly is just white. Volume 4 her design mostly is just like it's just gray. But ultimately, I will say, her Volume 2 fit is peak. It's just, Volume 2 fit, I love the white with black accents. The Volume 7 outfit is a choice, which I absolutely hate. But her Hyosetsu Teikoku outfit, genuinely, I think that's great. Blake, okay. I think I think her design, like, it gets the job done. Like, I liked it a little more like Volume 1 in engine as opposed to the concept. I think genuinely, like it also, it helps the fact that a lot of the colors in concept were kept over when it came to the engine. So I think that was great. I would say ultimately the biggest problem I had regarding her character was how much white was on her in later volumes. Like, I loved the fact that, like, around the end of volume 6, they ditched the white coat and just had her wear this black sleeveless top with black pants and a white belt. Like, that got the job done. It was so it really, it's just like, it really helped, like, overall with her design of the character. I loved it. I think that more so, like, her DC design, honestly, conceptually, is one of, I think, is a really great design. Hyosetsu Teikoku, a little iffy on her dream design, but her nightmare design is actually pretty good. And Yang, again, it feels like her whole thing with the design is around favoritism. Because it really seems clear that the creators really like Yang. So much so that it's just like almost every design just almost damn near like nails it with her character. Like, there's a granted, yeah, it didn't stop her from having like details that were stupid or just did not need to be there. But overall, her designs, like Yang's designs throughout this series, were pretty good. Like, I honestly think I like her DC outfit significantly more in volume, not volume, it's significantly more than her volume 4 design. And her Hyosetsu Teikoku outfit, it's fairly similar to what she wore in volume 1, but there's enough changes where it's like, it's a subtle change. Like, something where it's like, you can tell it's the same, but something is off, something is different. Overall, yeah. So yeah, thank you all so much for joining me. Next time, if people really want me to, I will make a... I'll tell you what. If we can get up to... I'll say this right now. If we can get up to 800 subscribers, I'll do a Team Juniper video. I'll critique Team Juniper's live streams. Or Team Juniper's live streams. Wow, I am tired. I'll do a live stream critiquing Team Juniper's outfits. Okay. Yeah, 800 subscribers, mark it. But if that day doesn't come, well, that day doesn't come. But in the meantime, I'm gonna get here. If you want to support me personally, ko-fi.com/theartsozo-sha. I have a Blue Sky, I have a Kara, I have a portfolio on ArtStation. If you want to see me play some party games and whatnot with my friends, twitch.tv/cafeautumn. And yeah, this is gonna do it. So thank you all so much for joining me. And I hope you all take care, and I'll see you all next time. Peace!